Appreciate everybody taking a little time. Scary to believe that we are getting ready for the third annual St. Joseph, Missouri Marathon coming up on Saturday, September 27. Introduce Board Chair Keith Hackett. Keith, don't need to say anything. Keith's the chairman of the board of the St. Joseph Sports Commission this year. And if you don't know, Tara James is our marketing director of the St. Joseph Marathon. Tara is the runner extraordinaire and has been entirely committed to this race and everything it stands for. So appreciate you guys coming and appreciate you all coming as well. Brief background on the race if you don't know. So this race was born out of a partnership of an event that had been formed a decade prior as the St. Joseph Sports Commission and the Junior League of St. Joseph partnered together to really grow and expand on what was the Pony Express Marathon and turned it into the St. Joseph Marathon. And so the Pony Express Marathon was a half marathon, always was a 5K. Never to my knowledge was a full marathon, but I had probably been in this role about 6 months and had taken several calls unsolicited to the office about, hey, have you ever thought about what a marathon would look like in St. Joseph, Missouri? Well, short answer to that was no. Longer answer to that was I understand the power and impact that marathon events have, racing events have. We all know this is an emerging racing community, but on the flip side of that, it kept me up at night thinking about all the logistics that it took to potentially pull a marathon off. So we had our first meeting in late 2022. We announced very late in 2022 that we would be having our first marathon later in September of 2023. And then I would tell you over the next 9-10 months, the real work began. We've got about a 25-member steering committee that consists of anybody that you would think would be at the table of a marathon steering committee. Anybody from police, fire, EMS, other medical personnel, public works, traffic department. We've got people at the table that we simply call our race experts. We've got colleagues from the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We've got colleagues from other entities, anywhere from Kylie Stroud from the United Way to, again, several of my colleagues here in the office, folks that just love St. Joe, are kind to get involved with major events, and we have had a really good steering committee that literally starts meeting early in the year to plan over the next 9 months of what we consider a national event. We consider this a national event. We currently have runners from 15 states signed up. Our very first runner that we had signed up this year was from San Antonio, Texas. I also looked here in the last 3 weeks, we've had a runner sign up from Alaska. I should probably have the demographic on if we've had a runner from every state in the United States. Short answer is I don't know. Longer answer is we're pretty darn close to that. And so not only is this a national race, but we have a tremendous amount of people that come from right here in St. Joseph, come from Northwest Missouri, come from the state of Missouri. And I always say this, I think this race has provided our runners here locally an opportunity to A, have, for lack of a better term, a home game, and then B, there are a lot of bucket list folks that say, I want to run a marathon before my time on earth is past. And so I think that this event here in our city has also provided runners with an opportunity to do that. We've had a lot of runners that come here that are training for other events. The Kansas City Marathon is about a month out from our race. The Omaha Marathon is the very next day after our race. And so we talk all the time. That sounds really crazy that you would run a marathon, a half marathon in consecutive days, but there are a lot of runners that do that too. So some historical demographics for you in case you're wondering. Our very first race in 2023, we had 527 runners. Last year, that number grew by about 100 runners. 632 runners ran the 2024 event. This year, we're trending right around the 650 mark. So not a gross increase from last year, but our goal as a committee every year is to just grow a little bit each year. We have a goal at some point to get to 1,000 runners. When we first created this event, we thought maybe that was a decent goal at the end of year 5, and maybe it still is, given this is year 3, but right now we're trending to about 650 participants this year in our marathon. So we call this a marathon, right? But there are also other distances you can run. So in addition to the full 26.2, we have our half marathon, which tends to be, quite frankly, our favorite distance, our most popular distance, as we have about 200 half marathoners each and every year. 10K events, so that's 6.2 miles. That is an emerging distance. Has become a very popular distance as well. And then we have a traditional 5K race, 3.1 miles, obviously very popular here in St. Joseph as well. we looked at a different segment of our of the event and said, all right, what makes us different? What is another emerging part of an event like this that you're starting to see in more and more races? And so we have also a segment of the race called a marathon relay team, which is just what it sounds like. It is a 5-person team. It is the full marathon route that's broken down in 5 different segments. And so that would be for those group of runners that say, well, golly, I don't know that I want to run the full race, but I don't necessarily know that I want to run another distance, and I'd like to see another part of the route. And so 5 different segments. We have a segment of the race that of that relay race that's flat. We have a segment of the race that's the longest distance. We have a segment of the race that's the shortest distance. We might have a segment of the race because guess what? If you haven't already figured it out, St. Joseph is not a flat city that goes up and down. So we have a portion of the race that might be what we consider the toughest portion of that. And so that is another segment of the race that is available for our participants. So a little bit about the route. It is what we would refer to in a lot of cases as an out and back route, meaning our start line is the same as our finish line. Start-finish line is the same as it's been the previous 2 years. Right on Francis Street, right behind City Hall. We hub out of Civic Center Park, which is a great place for large events, and that has been no exception for this event. It's been a really good pre-race, post-race gathering spot on race day. So our 5K route, think about it this way. We go up Francis Street, down 4th Street. If you're familiar with where Lions Field is, where Maple Leaf Parkway is, that essentially is our 5K turnaround. So that's what our 5Kers will see. If you're running the 10K race, you're going to keep going on the Parkway. You're going to go to Almost Northwest Parkway and Gene Field Road. That is roughly our 3.1 mile mark. So our 10K runners turn around, they come back the same way they came, and that's where they get their 6.2. If you're running our full and half marathon route, you're going to keep going up Northwest Parkway. You're going to take that almost all the way to St. Joe Avenue, not quite crossing St. Joe Avenue into Krug Park, but you're going to turn around, you're going to come back, and then you're going to head up Northeast Parkway. You're at mile 7 at that point. Northeast Parkway all the way to the top. Now you're at Ashland Avenue. You're going to head back to the south, and our half marathon and full marathon runners will literally take that all the way down Norris Boulevard past Central High School. Our half marathoners are going to turn around and come back just after the intersection of Noyes and Masseny. So that is about roughly mile 9 at that point. And then our half marathoners are going to come back. They're going to head for home. Instead of getting back and going back Ashland, they are going to come down Northwest Parkway to an area referred to as the Skaters Triangle. You're back at Corby Pond. They're going to head left, and they're going to carry themselves back home the way they came. Our full marathoners keep going. So at this point, you're at Parkway A at Mark Twain School. You're then going to turn and head on South Noyes Boulevard. You're now connecting to Southwest Parkway. So we are at Bartlett Park, Fairview Golf Course, Phil Welch Stadium. And you're going to lead all the way down past Benton High School, almost to 752. So you're in the Hyde Park area at that point. And that's where our full marathoners turn around. So if you're not exhausted yet, you'll get more exhausted because that is, quite frankly, downhill on the way up. You're going to come uphill on the way back until you roughly get to a point in the route that we call our S-curve, and then the route flattens out a little bit, and then those full marathoners are going to come back the way they came. We're back up Noyes Boulevard to the 5-corner area, which is Ashland Avenue. They're going to head back down the Skaters Triangle. Now, they've got one more right-hand turn before they head for home. They get to travel up Northeast Parkway one more time. So a lot of out and backs for our full marathoners until they head for home. So you might say, well, golly, how do all those runners know where they're going? Well, we have runners that have run this race before. We have runners that are from St. Joe that probably run the race route often and getting prepared for. But we've got roughly 350 volunteers out on the race route. And the cool thing to me is a lot of these volunteers are repeat volunteers. So they've been with us since the beginning. They believe in this event. They enjoy being out and about on the route on a cool, hopefully crisp fall morning in late September, and they enjoy showcasing our community to folks that several of which are not from here. And so we thank those folks because, quite honestly, this event's only as strong as our volunteers are. And so we've been fortunate that we've had at least 350, 400 volunteers that do anything from manage our route to greet people coming into Civic Center Park on event day, to help keep the park clean, to help facilitate some other things we've got in Civic Center Park. And so that's what makes up our route. So you might say, well, okay, what does the timing of the route look like on event day? So we start our full and half marathon at 7 a.m. Our 5Kers and 10Kers start following that. Obviously, our 5Kers being the shortest distance, those are our runners that are going to finish their race first, followed by our 10Kers, and then our full marathoners and our half marathoners will start to finish very shortly thereafter. So our winning marathoner, you might want to know this in year one, ran this race in 2 hours and 40 minutes. Wrap your arms around that. Last year, our winning marathoner did not run it quite that quick, but ran the race in 3 hours and 20 minutes, which for this course is still very impressive. So we base our timing, and I'll get to management of the route here momentarily, but we base our timing. So you've probably seen some timing charts that go out. We've got some animated maps. This particular piece right here is a door hanger that actually will be out by the end of the week. So we put these door hangers on residential homes, businesses that are literally all up and down the route, literally stretching from Francis Street to Northwest Parkway, clear to Southwest Parkway, up and down Ashland Noise. Because the other piece of this event is we realize that not everybody's going to run it. We also realize that not everybody's going to volunteer, not everybody's going to engage. And so with that, we want to make sure that our community knows what's happening on Marathon Day. We hope to build this and are building this into an annual tradition. And you only build those traditions by consistency, you build those by consistent dates, and you build that by consistent communication. And so basically this piece tells all of our residents in that area when the event is, when the event's happening, how to engage in that event if you didn't know about it, because realistically, you probably still have people here in St. Joe that don't realize we have an annual marathon. And it tells people how to get involved, but it also tells people on the back, when is this race going to come by my area, my house, my intersection? And so we come up with this timing chart two ways. You see a column that says first runner. First runner, we base that off a 6-minute mile. That's what an elite runner typically runs an average mile in. And you might say, well, do we have elite runners in this event? We will. We will have elite runners that average a 6-minute mile. Our last runner, so we base that off what an average runner runs a mile in. We base that off a 12-minute mile. And so when you look at the timing chart and you see first runner 7 a.m. obviously in the park, and you say, all right, when do we count on the last marathon runner finishing? We count on that at about 12:45. So that's roughly 5 hours, 45 minutes start to finish. We base that time obviously off the average mile, but in year one, every runner finished this race by 1 o'clock. Last year, 98% of the runners finished this race by 1 o'clock. We did have a few marathoners finish after that. Our St. Joe police that are extremely kind to engage in this event, they'll have roughly 20 officers combined with Buchanan County Sheriff's Department out on the route, controlling busy intersections, so anything stop-lit, you will have a uniformed officer in those stop-lit areas. But we also have motorcycle officers that lead the marathon, so they're with the start of the race, and then we also have tail vehicles that are with the very last few runners of the race. And in spite of the fact that we do advertise, because you have to set an end time at some point, we end management of the race at 1 o'clock. That's a 6-hour time window. We don't tell our runners you have to be done at that point, but we do tell them the management of the race will end at that point. But our officers stayed with our last runners through the duration of the race last year, which is important. And we appreciate those folks doing that. And again, look forward to another great race this year. So these events don't happen without the support not only of our steering committee, our volunteers, but we have a wonderful title sponsor in Gray Manufacturing who has been with us all 3 years. To get this race off the ground, we needed a strong title sponsor. And the folks at Gray, led by Pete Gray, Stet Shanzi, and their wonderful team, have been with us since the beginning. And, again, that's another locally owned family business for a long, long time here in St. Joe that believes in the community, believes in this event, believed in the growth that this would bring our community. And so we are entirely grateful to them to not only help us get this race off the ground, but help us make it a quality national type event. And so how do we get feedback on this race? We get a lot of testimonials at the end of each year. I've learned, and we talk a lot among our steering committee, as runners are brutally honest. And they're brutally honest in a positive way. They're brutally honest with some constructive criticism as well. And quite frankly, other than the constructive criticism of your race is really tough, The course is really hard. It's really hilly, but we liked it. That's really the only piece of constructive criticism we've gotten. We've got a lot of wonderful pieces of testimonial our first 2 years from runners that don't live here. I think we've gotten a lot of good feedback from runners that do live here, but from runners that don't live here that have told us we've run all over the country, we've run some major races. Yours is organized, signaged, volunteer-wise, and just the atmosphere is as good as any race that we've run. And those are just absolutely golden compliments and pieces of feedback that tell you what our group is doing, that the efforts are totally worth it. Because anytime we can bring a national event to the community and also fit a niche for our residents and folks that live around the community, those are win-wins, and those are events that we want to be a part of and always try to bring to life. So a couple of the things I want to touch on, and then I'll open it up to questions. We've advertised this event as a Boston qualifier. So you might say, well, what does that mean? Well, here's the only thing that it means. It means that you have had your course certified by a certified course operator from the United States Track and Field Association that has come to your community, and they have certified that your course is 26.2 miles long. Doesn't mean they've certified it flat, doesn't mean they've certified it fast. They have certified it the appropriate distance, because when runners qualify for the Boston Marathon, and basically you qualify by age and you qualify by time, so there is obviously a different chart based on your age and how long you're given to run that. Basically, that's how you are proving, hey, I ran a race that was 26.2 miles. We also certified our half marathon route. Not that gets you into Boston by any means, but a lot of half marathon routes certify their distance as well, because as I mentioned, that tends to be our most popular segment of this event, and so that has been certified as well. And you might wonder, well, what's that process look like? I can tell you it took our certifier about 72 hours to certify our course. They ride their bike, so it's not something you go run, you don't ride it by car, you don't get in your car and the odometer tracks 26.2. They are literally riding curb to curb, and they are marking points on the route every mile to certify that. And so those certification documents live on our official website at stjomosports.com. The other group I want to thank and recognize is our philanthropic partners at the Junior League. Again, this was an endeavor that they brought to life several years ago, and it was an endeavor that they were kind to entertain a partnership with when the Sports Commission was reformed in 2022, and in a situation where both groups help each other. That's been truly what this partnership has been. Again, they provide a number of volunteers. We're also happy to support them with a good portion of the proceeds from this event. And it's an event that we look forward to continuing to grow year after year. So I'll leave it with this and then open it up to questions. People ask, well, how can we engage? How can we help the race? Well, there's 3 ways, in no particular order. Well, I take that back. These are in particular order. Number 1, run, participate. That would be the first way you can help, is participate. For all of the people, and I've heard them a lot, and I call them out when I hear them, that say, man, we wish we had an event like this in St. Joseph. If you're that person and you haven't participated before, this is the year, okay? If you can't run, volunteer. We've been so fortunate that we've had a number of people that step up to volunteer, but trust me, if you still sign up and you've got 10 days to do that, we will find a space that we can use you in. So volunteer. But if you can't do either of those 2 things, and you live on the route, you live close to the route, provide some atmosphere. That is something that not only our runners here, but runners that run in any event, anywhere across the country, they notice. Atmosphere, anything from good luck signs to music to Saturday morning brunch buffets. People do that in their front yard. We have people that do that. You'll see signs up and down our race route that are wishing somebody good luck. You'll see signs up and down our race route of people that are mocking other people. That's a thing. And why is that? Well, there's an obvious answer to that. But the other answer to that is think about how hard these folks have trained to do this. In some cases, you have people that may do this annually, semi-annually. You may have people that have never done this before, and they may never do it again. And so there is that physical side of the race. But I would tell you the mental side of the race is probably just as difficult, if not more difficult. And so you need some atmosphere and some encouragement out there on the race route that helps keep you going and helps you finish. The other unique thing to note that is a thing in these events, and we're fortunate that it's been a thing here, we have 30 runners that run in this race as a pacer group. We partner with a group out of Kansas City. They have 15 pacers that run the full marathon. They have 15 pacers that run the half marathon. And what these folks do is truly amazing because they train to run at a 4-hour marathon pace, a 5-hour marathon pace, an hour 45-minute half marathon pace. And so if you're here on race day and you see runners running with a time sign that basically says 2:15, 4 hours, etc., those folks are pace runners and they are running the race in exactly that amount of time. And that helps other runners that are out there to try to keep up with their pace, because every runner has a goal, but that number one goal for all of those runners is to simply finish. That will be the coined answer of runners when you ask them what's your goal. They will all tell you to finish, which, by the way, I think all of you saw this when you came in. These are our finishers medals this year. These are what everybody is racing for. These are sought after. These are critiqued very heavily. And, our steering committee spends a lot of time talking about a lot of things, but we spend a lot of time talking about what our finishers medal needs to look like. And so if you don't know what that is, we tried to find an image that is depicted a lot here in St. Joseph. And so Steve Boer here in the crowd said, that's Felix Street Square. Those are the gates in Felix Street Square, which I didn't plan him with that answer. That's exactly what I hoped he would say. But when you look at our city and you look at some photos that our city gets photographed with a lot, you see those gates at Felix Street Square. And so our designer did a great job bringing those to life. And each one of our runners that finishes this race will get their finisher's medal. Each one of our participants will get a towel. We did some finisher stickers this year. And you also might have noticed our gold medal. So our male and female winners in each of our 4 race segments will get the 2025 St. Joseph Marathon gold medal. And so with that, we encourage people that have any questions about the race. Our official race website is stjomosports.com/marathon. Our St. Joseph Marathon has its own Facebook platform, which is extremely active, will continue to be active. But we're thankful for the partnership with our local media entities and also our local government entities who are starting to push out a lot of notifications about this race, because there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of I's to dot, T's to cross, a lot of communication, which for us starts heavily in July, obviously picks up the closer and closer we get to race day. But we want to make sure that this is a positive experience and one of community pride that I think it has been the previous 2 years. And we look forward to another great marathon coming up here on September 27. And so with that, I'd open it up to any questions anybody has.
Can you tell us about the packet pickup?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously with events like this, all of our runners, they get a race bib that also helps keep their time. And so our packet pickup takes place actually right here in this room. You can kind of see it's starting to look like a marathon in here in terms of logistical items. But that takes place on Friday, September 26th from 2 to 7 p.m. So obviously it is a Friday afternoon, but we've tried to widen that window pretty heavily to give folks flexibility to come down. So it's held right in this room. We like having it here for a number of reasons. Number one, we have a lot of visitors that come in. And so what a better spot for folks to find out about our community than having it right here at our Convention and Visitors Bureau. The other thing that we like about it is, again, a lot of folks never been here before. They say, where's the start-finish line? We can point them right across the street. They can walk right across the street. They see where they're going the next day. A lot of folks like to get pictures ahead of time. And so this has been a really convenient spot to do packet pickup, and we'll look forward to doing that here 2 to 7 on Friday, September 26th.
So Brett, you guys have experienced unbelievable growth in this. What do you think some of the key factors are? Is it just because it's a marathon? Is it because we have a parkway system that's beautiful and a good place to run? What do you attribute your growth to?
It's a good question. First of all, Tara's a wonderful marketing director, so that would be first and foremost. And I would say that if she wasn't sitting there.
Well, that's it.
But I would say we are a medium-sized market, correct? And so with that, it doesn't matter what event we're talking about. All first-time events are hard. And obviously this is now a 3rd annual event. And so with that, there's a lot of, I don't know how many running events there are on an annual basis, but there's a lot. I mean, golly, I don't know how many annual running events there are here in St. Joe, but I'd venture to say of 52 weeks of the year, you could probably find one in some form or fashion capacity, at least half, maybe more than that. And so there's a lot of competition. The date never works for everybody. And so we try to, a little bit by byproduct of time of year here, we've set our flag in the ground and said the last Saturday of September every year is going to be when the St. Joseph Marathon is. And so how do runners nationally decide where they're going to run? Well, you got a lot of bucket list runners that say, I want to run a marathon in every state. We've had a lot of those that have never run here in Missouri. So, and we will have that again this year. I'm going to be really intrigued to find out the why from a runner from Alaska. That's unique. That's a cool story.
You get that like a dog sled.
A lot of you might remember 2 years ago our runner Randy from the Tennessee area. Randy was the gentleman that crossed the finish line and ran the entire race with the large American flag. Randy's why was he's a veteran. He was wounded in combat, and they told him, "You're never going to run again." Well, so there was the why. There was the "I'll prove you wrong," and I can't remember what his amount of marathons was, but it's a lot. I mean, it's more than 100. Yes, and so there's his why. So everybody has a why, but you know, I think I talked about those testimonials, and so it's good to have testimonials from people that really ran here and can be brutal about it, because people are brutal about it. And I don't think you're going to find many brutal comments about this race. So I think it's indicative of the Midwest and indicative to what I always say about events here in St. Joe is we've got to do events better here. We've got to organize it better. We've got to have more volunteers. We've got to communicate better. We've got to provide you with maybe more swag because people like this stuff. We've got to give you some things that you weren't that you weren't expecting. And then, oh, by the way, after the race, and I can't believe I failed to mention this, but I'll mention it now since you let in. Another way to participate in the race, if you don't want to run, volunteer, or set some excitement out on the race route, is we have an event called our post-race chill out, sponsored by Hy-Vee, and we provide every runner that runs in this race a giant fried tenderloin, because St. Joseph's the tenderloin capital of the world, right? And so Hy-Vee's kind of do a tenderloin for all of our runners. So when you cross the finish line, you might say, you want a tenderloin when you finish? You know what? Those runners chow those down. They're good tenderloins. They're large tenderloins.
Great.
And you know what? You weren't expecting that. You did not think you were going to get that when you came here. And so it's different. Runners, when they cross the finish line, guess what? They drink beer. So we've partnered with River Bluff. We've partnered with our friends at Will Fisher and Michelob Ultra. It is a Saturday morning, and looking at the long-term forecast, it's supposed to be a very beautiful day. So, you know, again, if you haven't been to an event like this, it's pretty cool to come out, hang out in Civic Center Park, have a beer, have a tenderloin. We have the same live band that we had last year, Ty Ellis and the Flatliners. They're out of Pittsburgh, Kansas. They're a red dirt country band. They also play 80s and some other classic rock, and had a good experience here last year, and they wanted to come back, and they did a good job. And so the race is a race, but it's also an event, and I think as a byproduct of all of those things that I mentioned, I think that has grown to a point where runners are intrigued and want to check this event out.
So
You knew you'd get a long answer from me, I'm sorry. So
first class experience. You provide a good experience. People will come back, they'll tell other people, and that's how you grow this race.
absolutely. That's I mean, that's the biggest thing we have to sell is experience.
I was gonna edit you, right?
Oh, always, yes. You didn't want to print my 9 paragraphs, but yeah, that's the biggest thing we have to sell is hospitality, experience. Location also matters too. We are right in the heart of the country. You can still get here. And runner's experience. That's the short, cliff-noted answer.
So I travel a lot and go to other races. And what's funny is I was ahead for the cure, and this is the second or third time this has happened. I was ahead for the cure, and I'm handing people
Where was this at?
in Parkville, Missouri.
Parkville,
and it's,
okay.
no, excuse me, that one's in Overland Park. I was at Ronald McDonald House in Parkville the weekend before. We'll give out rock cards, and the funny thing is I had multiple people go, that's the one that has the free tenderloin.
Yeah.
And then my friends come get the rack cards from me, right? That's something that's unique. People really like it. It's a niche, so I get a lot of feedback on those tenderloins.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Over the last 2 years that you've had this, what has been a predominant thing that has been different both times?
Oh, Operationally, we've learned a lot about aid stations on the course, so that's something good to highlight. So we have 11 aid stations on the course, which is slang for runners get drinks there. Some of our runners might need first aid. Some of our runners might need energy. Some of our runners might need to go to the bathroom. So we have 11 all along the route that are staffed by volunteers, community entities that want to be a part of the race. And so trying to educate folks that facilitate our aid stations on what runners expect when they come there. It may not be the same as we expect after we've been outside and are hot or just got done mowing our grass or any of us tried to run a mile. And so that's been something year after year that we've collected a lot of information. We can never have enough cups, let's put it that way. So we will overbuy cups this year. So that's one piece. The next piece is just trying to stay current, trying to stay cutting edge, trying never to do it the same way twice. I'm a big believer that you need to do what you do well, but you also need to never just pull it out and do it exactly the same way you did it the year before, because there's always something different. There's always something else. And so we talk a lot in our steering committee about making sure that we stay cutting edge, stay up. But we also don't want to take on anything that we can't manage either. We talk about that a lot too, is whatever we take on, whatever we add, we want to make sure we manage it. We're able to manage it, because if you overcommit, well, then all of a sudden some things that we've done really well start to suffer. And so, in the spirit of control the controllables, year one, we had 3 hours of wonderful weather and we had 3 hours of rain, which runners would tell you they don't mind rain. Anybody that works the race would tell you we hate rain for obvious reasons. Last year, we were fortunate because we had 6 hours of pretty good weather, 2 hours of really hot weather. And so, which that can become a challenge because, obviously that's another motivating factor to having the race in late September is you hope at that point that you're into some fall weather. I've had some people that have said, well, did you ever consider summer months? Well, no, never considered summer months. I mean, June, July, August, probably not going to host a marathon in St. Joseph, Missouri. So. Mm-hmm.
If you were to give any tips to a first-time runner for the St. Joseph Marathon, what would be your tip?
Oh, that's a great question. My tip would be to be honest with yourself. So here's a unique thing that's happening right now with some participants. I bet following this, I'll walk into my email inbox and I'll have an email from a runner that says, I signed up to run the half marathon. I haven't trained properly. I need to drop to the 10K. And you know what? That's not failure. That's just honesty. Much like we've had runners before that probably signed up for some distances and ran distances that they weren't ready for. And your body tells you pretty quickly what that is. But the other thing I would say too is get involved, participate. I think it's really cool that we have one of the largest running groups in our area, if not the 4-state area, in the Measly Mile Mafia, who has embraced this event, who has called this their home game. And every time I turn around, I meet another member of the Mafia that I didn't know was a member of the Mafia that just got out of bed one morning and said, I'm going to run a mile a day for 352 days. I'm going to do that. And you know what? Those folks are hard on each other. They hold each other accountable. People, I think, that are just everyday folks that probably never thought they would have any level of fitness to do that. When you get committed and you get with other people that are committed, some pretty cool things happen. And I'm thankful that group has embraced this event because that's what we needed. That's what this event needed. We needed a group to embrace it, call it their own, and promote it to other people. And so, again, I'm a long answer guy, so I apologize for that. But I would just say this. My advice is to participate. Find a way to participate. Find a distance to participate at. I've had people say, can I walk the 5K? If that's what you need to do to finish, by all means. We have people that sign up to run the half marathon and they run probably 10 miles of it, but there's probably another 3.1 so they can catch their breath that they walk, and that's okay. The goal is to finish. So, Brian.
So what would you say, like, I know you said this is the third year that you guys have done it.
Yep.
The goal is definitely 1,000 runners.
Yes.
But do you guys have any goals past that, say 5, 10,
Huh.
15 years down the line? If, to, you know, bring more engagement and make the event even bigger than it is now?
Well, so I would say this. I hope I'm around, involved with the event in 15 years. I hope so. The second piece to that is you're always looking forward, right? So it's kind of back to what I said earlier. Never want to pull it out and do it the same way twice. So we're always looking at how can it grow? How can it be better? How can it be an event? These events are races, but they are events too. And so with that, you know, we have a national anthem. We present the colors. We have live music. We have a DJ. We have an MC. We have photographers. We have a lot of swag, a lot of hospitality. And so, you know, how does that grow? That grows by support, that grows by participation, that grows by reputation. And here's the good goal. And we had a goal of doing this in year one, and it wasn't manageable. And so in being real, we found a course that was manageable. But, you know, I think 10 years down the line, we'd love to get to a route that was a unique 26.2, meaning it is a full 26.2 looping route. That would be awesome. It's a little scary to think about managing 26 full miles. Can it be done? Absolutely. Talk a lot about buy-in. We've had tremendous buy-in from folks that need to buy in, but that's probably a new level of buy-in when you look at that. And so that would be, I think especially for runners, that would be the next goal is, all right, can we get a full unique's the key word, 26.2 miles, and what does that look like? 26 miles is a long way. It's a long way, but that would be where we'd love to build someday.
So if I walk a 5K, am I gonna get one of those really nice miles?
You bet you will. You absolutely will. Yes, you absolutely will. You get a tenderloin and a nice draft beer too.
And I'll yell your name on the microphone.
Anybody have anything else? Got time?
I think we're good.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you all coming today, and like I say, hope you have plans to be in the park on September 27th. Thank you very much, everybody.